What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today, you guys, with They Cutting the Fool. So this is going to be They Cutting the Fool number 31, you guys, and this one is going to consist entirely of your boy Diddy. And before we go ahead and get into it, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and start taking on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, you guys, and also by sharing the video. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about what they tripping on this week. Shall we? Now y'all know with They Cutting the Fool, I typically like to keep this at 30 minutes or less. So this one, I don't know how long this is going to be, but let's discuss it nonetheless. So the verdict came out this week against Diddy. Am I upset about the verdict? Yes, I will say I am, because, the women that were involved in this, they didn't get the justice that I think they deserve, right? So I think the verdict came out on Tuesday or Wednesday. And, I kind of, y'all know, I talked about the trial when it first started, but then the more gruesome, the more grotesque that it got, I was like, you know what? I gotta stay away from it, right? So you guys know there were 5 counts that he was up against, right? So the first count was count 1 is racketeering conspiracy. So the jury found him not guilty of that, and that is the more serious crime, right? Count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. He was found not guilty of that one, and that's another serious one, right? Now count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution. He was found guilty of. That's not one of the more serious charges. And then count 4, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, not guilty. And then that's another serious one, right? And then count 5 is transportation to engage in prostitution. He was found guilty of that one. And again, that's not one of the serious charges that he was facing. So the serious charges that he was up against, the jury found him not guilty. Like I said a few minutes ago, am I upset? I hate it because the victims in this, they didn't get the justice that I feel that they deserve. Now, and Diddy, I know that, he tried to get bail, but the judge denied him bail, and I'm happy about that part. To think about him being back out on the streets, it's jarring, right? It's jarring. It's because this man is a creep. This man is a monster, and the list of things can go on, right? Because I see so many people celebrating it. This is a win. It's not a win for me, but it's a win for him. So, people are celebrating it. I will say I saw Tiny, like on one of the blogs. She was like, they were just trying to get him because he's somebody that's freaky. Ma'am, you might want to pipe it all the way down. This wasn't a case about somebody being freaky. That's not what this was. And I feel like some of y'all are literally forgetting that video that surfaced a few months ago when he was beating Cassie in the hallway of that hotel room. So I'm just befuddled. And I know I saw people upset with Shamia and Candy because I guess they liked the post. I don't know. But it's just weird to me. It really is. It truly is. And again, what I will say is granted, he can't, if he does anything retaliatory against any of the people that, were on the stand, then that will hurt him. If you retaliate against these people, then you fuck yourself, right? Unless you cover it up. But, I want you guys to tell me, how do you guys feel about this overall? Again, me personally, I'm not. I don't like it. It's what I said. I'm gonna say it for me personally. I feel like it's a miscarriage of justice. But this also kind of goes to the prosecution. Did they present a strong enough case for the racketeering, the sex trafficking? Did they prove their case? And according to the jury, they did not. Which, I don't know how, but I wasn't a part of the jury, so I don't know. Because I know that they watched some of the freak offs. I feel bad for Cassie. I feel bad for Don. I feel bad for. And then you got people who are saying, well, Cassie, yes, she didn't get justice, but, she got money from it. Money doesn't cover the scars that she had to carry with her for years with this. And I know people might say, well, she was a willing participant. Y'all can say whatever. If y'all want to say that she was a willing participant, fine. I'm not going to argue with anybody about that. But what I am going to say is, at the age that Cassie was when he first got with her, she was a young, impressionable girl who was trying to make it big in the music industry. So when you have someone with power, money, and influence, I'm not saying that I would, but some people will do just about anything to advance their career. I mean, let's just be real. It happens in everyday life. Women and men, they feel like that this is their only option to, get a promotion, get this, get that. So they do things that ultimately they probably wouldn't do if it weren't for the extenuating circumstances that they're under. And I'm not, and so if you guys feel like she's a willing participant, fine. If you guys don't feel like she's a willing participant, that's fine as well, right? I'm not here, I don't want to argue, and I'm not going to argue about my personal opinions, right? But like I said, I really do feel bad about this. Then to speak on people who were, and here's the thing, if you want to celebrate him, celebrate him. And I know people are comparing, asking, well, why come R. Kelly couldn't get off? There's a difference between R. Kelly and Diddy. Y'all do know that, right? Underage girls. These were, but then at one point he got to the point where they just crossed that threshold, right? But moving on. So, like I say, like I said, for me, I just don't feel like justice was served. Again, if you feel that it was, you feel that it was. But what I was actually getting ready to talk about, because I had lost my train of thought. So, people celebrating outside the courtroom. Again, if y'all want to celebrate that man, by all means, do what you want to do. But I saw outside of the courtroom that Armand Wiggins guy, right? I don't really keep up with him. I know who he is, but I don't consume his content, right? So I saw him outside of the courtroom, and there was this guy with a bottle of baby oil, just spraying the baby oil on him. And I was like, why are we doing this? This is ill-timed, and you're basically laughing in the face of the people who were involved in this and the victims of Diddy's. So I don't get why this, and he came out and he issued, now what I will say is, before he issued his apology, he and his supporters were online supporting supporting it, and in my personal opinion, making excuses for what he did. There's no excuse for what he did. So he did eventually come out and he apologized for it. Now, it ain't for me to accept the apology, because, that's for the victims. What I also will say is, even though eventually, because with the two charges that he was convicted, he was found guilty of, right? Those two charges have a maximum sentence of 10 years. Now, will he get the 10 years? No, it's the maximum. It's quite possible he could get time served because he's been in jail for what, 10 months at this point. We'll keep our eye on it. I just, for me personally, his reputation is ruined. I will say that his reputation is 100% ruined. I don't think anybody's gonna look at him the same. I don't, and if people still work with him, I would question why people would work with him because at this point he's like a pariah, right? The same way people no longer work with Bill Cosby, right? Even though he's out, he's out of prison. Nobody wants to be seen with Bill Cosby. Nobody wants to work with Bill Cosby. And it'd be the same if R. Kelly, because y'all know he really is trying to get out of prison. It would be the same if he were to get out, right? Nobody is going to want to do anything with him. So I feel like, and I know I saw that Young Miami posted something. Girl, if you want to go back to that shit, live your life, right? But it's just disgusting to me, right? And I'm not a prude. There's a lot that people don't know about me, but I'm all about consensual stuff. I'm definitely not about. Somebody's baby is crying? But yeah, with that, it was too much for me, right? Like I said, it was way too much for me with this trial. But again, I want you guys to just tell me what you think and what you feel, right? I want you guys to tell me what you think and feel. But again, I have my feelings. I know for me personally, I will never look at him the same again. Will never look at him the same. I actually feel like, well, no, I know I feel he is. For me personally, Diddy is literally in the same boat as R. Kelly. He's in the same boat as R. Kelly. Like, I prefer not to listen to anything from R. Kelly, which is kind of hard, which will be the same thing for Diddy. Like, I don't want to listen to nothing, and it's going to be difficult. But I've gotten to the point now where I don't really listen too much. Like anytime something R. Kelly comes on my radio in the car, because in my car I have Sirius XM, and there's a channel called Sirius XM Fly, where they play 90s and the 2000s, 90s and early 2000s. And they will eventually sprinkle in some R. Kelly, and I will quickly turn their radio station to something else, even when it comes to Pandora. Like the other day, Contagious came on, and I was singing a song, and I was like, whoa, 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 why are you singing this song? And I immediately skipped to the next song, right? So it'll be the same for Diddy. Like, it'll be the same for Diddy. Anytime, because even the Sirius XM Fly, they do play some of his songs. I mean, we have to remember, he was very big in the 90s and really heavy in the early 2000s. So it's just gonna be, and I love Total, Danny DeCane. Like, I love so much music from the 90s and the 2000s, and him and R. Kelly were instrumental in the music from the 90s and the 2000s. But yeah, you guys, that's really all that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, I just want you guys to tell me what you think, what you feel. How do you guys feel about this, right? I want you, and feel free, this is a safe space. I don't care if you guys feel like, justice was carried out, right? That he got off, or if you guys feel like no, justice wasn't carried out because he got off on he got found guilty of the lesser charges and not the more serious charges. But yeah, that's it. Let's take a look and see what's going on with it, because this is Friday that I'm filming this, so I just want to take a look for Friday morning more specifically, and I just want to see what's going on. Now, they do have this sketch. What I will say is I am sick of this goddamn sketch of him on his knees. Maybe he's praying to the devil. I don't know. Oh yeah, so that's something that's something that I want to talk about real quick, and then we'll hop off of here. So after the verdict came out, there's this man that has now come out saying that he's gonna sue Cassie and Diddy, right? So the reason he wants to sue Cassie is because he says Cassie gave him an STD and she aborted his baby. And I was like, one, how do you know that it was your baby? Two, how do you know she had an abortion? And number three, with these freak offs, if you are a paid escort, how do you know that Cassie gave you the STD? Do you have her test results? Like, I'm so confused by that. But I'm going to read this to you guys because it comes from the Daily Mail. It says Sean Diddy Combs was hit with an explosive new lawsuit just hours after he was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering. The music mogul, 55, and his main accuser, Cassie Ventura, have been accused of drugging and traumatizing one of the male escorts they hired to participate in their freak-offs, Clayton Howard. Howard, who goes by Dave, claims Cassie gave him an STD and that she aborted his baby without telling him. He says she manipulated him into taking ecstasy and having unprotected sex. Diddy was also convicted of transporting Howard, and so he was okay. So this man was a part of it. But it says Diddy was convicted of transporting Howard and 6 other male escorts across state lines to engage in prostitution. Howard claims in the lawsuit that he was paid to have sex with Diddy and Cassie for 8 years, beginning in 2009. He says he was used as entertainment to satisfy their sexual fetishes and personal ambitions. The male escort says both Diddy and Cassie were toxic individuals addicted to opioids, methamphetamines, who had no regard for others or the law. Howard challenges the narrative of Cassie as a victim, claiming, quote, Ventura was not merely a victim forced into sexual encounters with male escorts, but rather an active and engaged participant who willingly manipulated and exploited others, including plaintiff, to satisfy the sexual depraved desires of defendant Combs and herself. And this is the guy. That's him. Y'all can tell me what y'all think and feel about this one. It says here he claims Cassie drugged him with controlled substances, including MDMA, in doses 3 times stronger than what she herself consumed to lower his inhibitions and facilitate sexual exploitation. The lawsuit adds that Cassie used these substances strategically, like a spider catching its prey in its web. Howard says Cassie commanded him to masturbate for hours, which would leave his penis bruised and swollen. He says he would ask Cassie to consider his injuries, but she showed no mercy. He accuses her of manipulating, forcing upon him during her oh God. Okay, I didn't mean to read that. That was too much for me. I'm gonna reread it again, you guys. It says he accuses her of manipulating and forcing herself upon him during her menstrual cycle against his will, as well as filming him without his consent. Howard also says Diddy implied threats of violence and once threatened to pistol whip him. Ventura deceived, manipulated, and injured plaintiff and therefore should be held accountable alongside defendant Combs, as these two were partners in these criminal enterprises, the lawsuit reads. Howard is asking for unspecified monetary relief. He also has released a book titled Cassie, Victim or Co-Conspirator. The lawsuit comes after Diddy was denied bond after being convicted of prostitution-related offenses Wednesday. He was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put one of hip-hop's most celebrated figures behind bars for life. Diddy's lawyers said that under federal sentencing guidelines, he would likely face about 2 years in prison. Prosecutors, citing the rapper's violence and other factors, said the guidelines would call for at least 4 to 5 years. Locked up since September's arrest, Diddy has already served 9 months. A jury of 8 men and 4 women acquitted him of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges related to allegations that he used his money, power, and frightening physical force to manipulate girlfriends into hundreds of drug-fueled sex marathons with men. The defense team argued that the women were willing participants and that none of his violence justified the severity of the charges. So yeah, you guys, that's all we got with that. Again, like I said earlier, tell me what you guys think about the whole Diddy being acquitted. Do you guys think that, justice was served? If you do, explain why. If you don't, also explain why, right? And also tell me what you guys think about this man that days after, the acquittal comes with a lawsuit saying that both Cassie and Diddy did these things to him. I want to know what you guys think and feel, and we'll discuss it down in the comment section below, you guys. So subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn on your post notifications. Share the video, and until the next time, stay safe, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.